Welcome to the Garage Network podcast. Join us and the occasional special guest as we discuss everything automotive, from fixing cars as a technician, owning an automotive workshop or business, overall work-life balance, and even the occasional laugh. In this episode of TGN Talks, we were lucky enough to be joined by Andy Savva from the Garage Inspector. I myself have been following Andy for quite a while, so it was super exciting to be able to sit down and have a good conversation with him and acknowledge that a lot of the hurdles that they're seeing over there in the UK are very similar to the ones that we're seeing here in Australia. So it was good to go through some of those things and also a bit of insights as to what he actually offers and how he's helping the automotive industry as a whole. So I hope that you guys enjoy this as much as we enjoyed making it.
Look, I'll be honest, I don't even want to get straight into it yet. This is probably the first time we've actually even had a proper conversation, Andy. I think we've interacted a fair bit online.
We connected like during the COVID sort of period, didn't we?
Sporadically, random,
Yeah, just random, but it's nice. So that was the period when I just tried to stay connected with our garage network over here by doing little videos, little webinars, little just informative sort of 3-4 minute. Some were a little bit longer, and then it just sort of spiraled from there, really. And then I got connections from Iceland, from Norway, Germany, obviously, you lot from Australia, and also Cyprus as well. So I've done a little bit of work for the guys over there. So it's been an interesting. Although COVID has been obviously something that we'll probably never experience in our lifetimes again, hopefully. There's also been some great positives out of it. How the independent garage network, not just in the UK, but I think globally has come to the forefront of keeping their own communities going. Where a lot of the, certainly anyway in England, a lot of the retailers, the golden boys as we call them, closed and put all their staff on furlough. So, and I'm very proud of the fact that we are independent and we make decisions instantly without a lot of really support, at the beginning. So it's been an interesting period, and it's been accelerated. I think over here, the garage network, specifically the independent sector, has never been busier. Never ever been. So, and I'm sure it's like that across globally.
I think it is globally,
It is, yeah.
and I definitely think it's globally because everyone seems to have the same sort of part shortage or supply shortage as one another.
Shortage.
So skill shortage, and the skill shortage is massive. And I don't know what it's like in the UK, but the skill shortage here is massive. It's real, and it's very difficult to get skilled technicians. I think we're all pooling from the same basket anyway. So I think I use the analogy, we're sort of stealing from Peter to feed Paul. So the same pool of technicians is the only available pool, and it's up to us to sort of start to train.
I think it's the biggest challenge, I think, for our industry over here, like you've just alluded to, is the skill shortage. But I don't think as a repair sector as a whole, and that I'm adding the retailers in that, the sort of dealers. I'm adding the sort of national fast fit chains and us as independents. I don't think we've helped over the last 30, 40, 50 years. We've actually created the problem that we have now.
Yeah.
Because, and the reason, I've written many articles about this and I've done some videos about it. And the main aspects of why I think that is because when you think about the working conditions going back 25, 30 years ago when I started, and the progression or the lack of progression and promotion, and the lack of pay, is why would anyone want to come into it? Why would our kids ever want to come into this industry? So we're facing many challenges that we've created ourselves. Also things like training, the lack of investment by a lot of repairers. Has forced the next generation of children, like our kids, to look and seek their careers in other industries, and even now, the pay scales for what we have to know and what we have to do is very low compared to many others. And I think generally in the service sector, so when we think about hospitality, restaurants, hotels, they're in the same boat, because I think historically they've also paid very low, you know. And now it's when we're all faced with this global shortage of one, retaining the people that we have, and secondly, attracting the new breed or the next breed. So we have to do things completely differently to how we used to do them before. I think with me, with the last business, I was quite fortunate because I had courage and bravery. I was brave and had a lot of courage in doing what I did. And I went the complete opposite way to what most people did. And there's always a risk in that. But if you follow everyone else, you'll always follow everyone else.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Sometimes you need to go the opposite way
Absolutely.
and take a challenge. You know? So they're interesting times ahead. But most of the times when I'm speaking to my garage customers, and we've got about 400 now in my little network, it's all about staff.
Yeah, staff. Look, I think we're all in the same boat here in Australia as well. And I mean, this has been a pretty hot topic of discussion on the Garage Network as well about, pay is obviously one, and the industry as a whole. And I think we sort of discuss that the onus sort of falls on the employer as well, to sort of make sure that he's running a profitable enough business that he can actually pay his staff quite well, and then hopefully in turn start to attract, top tier sort of techs, or maybe younger guys that might think, you know what, the pay's actually not that bad. I know John works for X person and he's getting paid okay. Maybe I will look into this industry. I think the onus is heavily on the employer as well, to make sure that they're running a profitable enough business to do that.
And that's the areas that I focus on now in terms of what I deliver and the kind of support that I do for the garage sector. So I don't do anything technical. I put my hands up. I wasn't the best technician, mechanic. I got along with things. If you gave me a wiring diagram, I'd be very nervous.
Yep.
Give me a cylinder head or a clutch or suspension work, and I'd be happy as Larry. So I realised very early on that my passion and my skills were in the business side of it, especially the latter part of my career, and that's what I focused on. And it's interesting you say, Pete, is that garages need to make good profits in order to invest in their whole business, and that's not only just the personnel, that's in the facilities, in the equipment, the continued training. So it shouldn't just sit in one place. The problem you have with 99% of garages, and this was very evident when I went to Iceland back beginning of the year, is that no one knows what it costs them to run their business per hour.
Yeah, right.
And the thing is, we sell our commodity that we sell is per hour, because we sell time. So unless you know what that costs and how to calculate it correctly, you'll never know what your charge out rate's going to be.
Yeah.
So historically, the charge out rate's been, it sounds about right, and it's the going area in the.
Yeah, it's a going rate in there. Oh, John does it for this. Yeah.
And you know what? And that's how we've always been. So,
can I make a comment on that, Andy? So,
yes.
So very early on, and I mean, when I would have just met Mike, he's one of the other directors of the Garage Network. So he's got a shop down in the city as well. And I remember certainly we're talking about, how we price structure and all that. And I was like, how did you come up with that price? It was like, because we were like bang on dollar for dollar, like for things that we were talking about. It was like, I don't know. I just know that's how much I need to charge. I was like, you know what? That's me too. Like you sort of just pluck a number that should
during
work.
Lockdown, yeah, and during lockdown, I did this video which was about 30 minutes long, because we created this support group, and we had hundreds of people join this support group over weeks, and everyone was talking about this conversation about labour rates, and I thought, I can't believe what I'm reading here, man, about how people are charging and what they're charging. So. I did this like 25-minute video on labour rates, but that's a small part of what the garage inspector does. We focus on all aspects of business, and think about it. where have we ever had anywhere to go for business acumen and help related to our business, not just general business, but really specifically grilled down to our independent garages? There hasn't been. And I'm in a very unique and privileged position. I'm very honored to be able to deliver what I deliver to the people that I deliver. And I get the feedback that I get is really heart-wrenching when you see some of the emails that I get. And also, it makes me very proud that I can hopefully make a change in the way that we're doing it, you know, because in my early years of running a garage, I didn't have a clue. I was, you know, didn't have an idea. All I knew was good customer service, whatever that was then, you know. And when I look back, I don't even know how I ran some of the garages that I did, you know, but we weren't really making any money. Yeah. It's only in the last couple of establishments that I created that we made what I would I claim is very, very good profits, you know, something very proud to be able to achieve.
Well, I think it's important to understand. Sorry, I think it's important to understand that typically we're trained as mechanics, aren't we? In the light vehicle repair sector, so or the heavy vehicle repair sector. But you know, moving into business is a totally different animal altogether. And you know, you sort of think that you can wear those or that hat. You think, well, I'm a senior technician, I'm the business owner, I must be good at business. You know, and the fact of the matter is that you're probably not, or no one's taught you. You know, no one's taught you. You don't have that skill set. That's actually a new skill set that you need to develop.
And that's why, you know, my courses have been very popular. Obviously, they took a lot of time to put together, to be able to deliver them in a way that was relevant to the sector that I was trying to deliver them to. I decided to stop working with retailers about four and a half years ago. To be honest with you, I can't stand most of them. I've been very vocal about it. They're, you know, you go to any dealership and I'm sure it's the same, you know, across globally, but you go to any dealership in England on the last day of the month, it's like a madhouse, you know, to close the last job, to close the last sale, because it's all about targets, and the pressure that gets added onto the individuals that work there. You never see the same service advisor twice. You know, it's like the turnaround of staff, the pressure that they're all under because of Excel spreadsheets and targets. And I accept we have to have targets, but for me, they shouldn't be the prominent part of any business. And those that run their businesses based on that type of methodology, for me, is wrong. For me, it's all about people. Get the people thing right. Yeah. Focus on your people. The rest of it will all.
I love that. I love that. That's a good way to look at it.
I think these are the videos that I was watching. I was like, I really like the way this guy's talking. Like he's articulating it well. He's saying it far better than I can, and it's making all the sense in the world. So I absolutely agree with everything.
How do I feel about KPIs, Costa?
Yeah, we've spoken about this before.
They've got to be there. They've got to be there, but it's not the be all and end all.
Like with Pete, we've spoken about this before because we always talk about anytime we get together, we're not talking about business stuff. And the discussion once came up on your tech's efficiencies. Oh, you know, someone was going about 100%. You got to have 100%. It's like, well, you can't have 100%.
Like, and not only that, like you know,
come on, you got to have that.
You're pushing them to the brink
of exhaustion, culture, trying to build
a
team.
You know,
KPIs are an important part. Key performance indicators are an important part of any business, especially the service sector, right? Particularly for us, because as we said earlier, we only sell time. So every minute for us counted, you know, is accountable, should be accountable. And every minute that goes past that we can't charge for eats into our profit and bottom line, right? And there are, in the finance course that I run, there are some specific KPIs. There's about 8 or 9 KPIs that I believe every garage owner should understand, but not only the garage owner, but the techs and the service advisors or the reception staff. So whenever I do a finance course and the owner turns up, what usually happens is that they'll come again and they'll come with their tech or their advisor. And that's the game changer, because once the tech understands where the business owner's coming from or the front of house, how they should work in synergies, it really does click into place. So, of course, financial understanding and targets are important. But for me, you cannot do that unless everyone is singing from the same hymn sheet.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're in a sector where we rely on people. We're not selling something on the internet where there's no interface, there's no emotion, there's no physical connection. So for me, I realized in the latter part of my automotive career that you need to get the people thing right. Having said that, it's no good getting the people thing right and not having the infrastructure and the ethos from the business owner coming all the way down. So there's a lot of elements that have got to come together for you to be successful. And what I do now is just try and touch on those elements that I think are important right across business acumen to help the independent sector, in general. And these people that I meet are honest, they're hardworking, they provide a value for money service in their communities. They don't get a lot of support from anyone. And all I'm doing is trying to elevate them as people first, motivate them, encourage them, and also to think about their teams a little bit more. Obviously, we help with process, and that's where I excel, because having done my Kaizen, Lean Six Sigma work training, that really was the game changer for me back in between 2005 and 2009, when I realized that we could really effectively run a workshop in a slightly different way. So layouts and where things are positioned and how we standardize jobs are really key for us to make our workshops as efficient as possible, because time is a killer disease for us.
And so your background, Andy, so you were a repairer yourself in the light vehicle industry, and then you moved into, give us a little bit of an understanding on that. You moved into business, into business for yourself, and then further to that is now what you're
So I got into it at the age of 18, worked for 2 or 3 garages, went on my own at a very young age. I think I was only 23, 24 when I decided that I could do it better. I had a little Ford Fiesta van, stuck my tools in there, and just started working in the streets, really. In them days, it was a lot easier to work in the streets as it is now. And now you can't do that now. I mean, it's practically impossible. And when I think about that journey that I had for 2 or 3 years working in the streets, doing all sorts of jobs, some of the jobs that I did in the road, I mean, I just couldn't believe I'd do them now. But you do it, you adapt. And then, managed to get my first place, then sold that, moved on. And then before you know it, I'd started 4 garages and sold them within a period of about, 16, 17 years, 18 years. So I never stayed in one place longer than about 3-4 years. Always made them look fairly attractive for people to come knocking on the door and say, "So your business." That was never the plan, but it always went that way. However, in 2005 was the time when things really changed for me, when I thought at the time technology was moving quite fast, and I had a good offer to sell my last but one business, which is still going, by the way. And I decided that I left school with no qualifications. I had nothing. I had a very tough upbringing. My teenage years were very, very tough, and left school with nothing. And then in 2005, when I sold up Shaftesbury Garage, I decided to go and educate myself. Right? And I believed that the only way that I could stay within the trade was actually to go to the retailer side.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Believe it or not, at the time, I was wrong then. I thought I was right then, but I was wrong later on down the line, and I'll explain. So, and I saw technology moving quite quickly, and I thought, you can't, how can you repair all makes and all servicing and all repairs and be good at everything? You can't. It's like the analogy I use is if you go into a restaurant and they give you a menu that's the size of a book, you need to walk out.
Yeah, exactly right.
go into a restaurant and it's like, 4 or 5 mains, 4 or 5 starters, reasonable, then you've got half a chance of having a decent meal. So I enrolled and did a automotive course, or a 3-year automotive degree, postgraduate degree at Loughborough University. It was run by Professor Jim Saker, who's quite a well-known industry figure in England. And he ran it in conjunction with the Henry Ford College, which was based within Loughborough University. So this was a 3-year course. Everyone on the course, apart from me, was from a retailer background. So you had like after sales managers, dealer principals, right? And I was the odd one out. I was the one that they looked at that who is this guy coming onto our course sort of thing, And it was one of the hardest things that I did academically, because you've got to remember that I left school with nothing. I didn't even know what email was then. Imagine, right? And Word documents and all this kind of stuff. So, but I persevered, and I completed and I passed. But within that time, I managed to get access to the Nissan factory in Sunderland. And I did a lot of my training up there based on Kaizen, the Japanese mythology, which originally came out of the Toyota production way, as they called it, which is now synonymous in a lot of manufacturing plants, not only motor vehicle, but all types of manufacturing plants. And that work, that learning in conjunction with the automotive side, the academic side, plus the physical side my journey that I'd gone on, previously, put that together, it became very powerful. So what happened between 2005 and 2009 while I was studying, I managed to get into some of the retailers where I thought my life will end up. And I was asked to go and visit what they call, they're measured on customer CSI, yeah? Customer Service Index. So I used to go to the worst performing ones around the country and analyze their after sales departments. What I realized very quickly is that these establishments were worse than the independents.
Right.
So there's me thinking I'm going into the gods. God arena.
I'm gonna learn everything here. Yeah,
I'm gonna learn everything. Well, let me tell you, the one thing I learned was nothing apart from there is life for an independent garage, because these establishments were useless. They were ran on fear, these targets, these draconian bonuses, all sorts of stuff, right? And that motivated me year after year. And I decided back in 2009, you know what? I'm going to open up another garage. I'm going to do it differently. And I'm going to go head to head with these retailers. And I'm going to show everyone how it's done. So we managed to purchase an industrial warehouse that hadn't finished. It was the recession of 2008, 2009 then. It was a huge property. We bought it, we split it up. I put my parts factor next door. So I had 30,000 square feet, which is quite big.
Yeah, wow.
We rented out we put the parts factor next door, because obviously I'm talking about lean and Kaizen.
Yep.
Don't have to wait for my deliveries. And then we kept the other sort of 14,000 square feet, whatever it was. We had no electricity, gas, or water. Everything had to be done from scratch. That was a purposely built building. And then we put our equipment in, and then we were away. And between, within 5 years, our turnover just shot up. But we did something very different. The first thing I decided to do was focus on 2 brands. So we focused on 2 brands, BMW network and the VAG network. One, because I had a BMW background, and also in our vicinity, the marketing statistics told us that we've got loads of these cars around. Plus, I was in the middle of these dealers. So for me, I was after their work. It's no good saying, I want to become a full specialist, and the nearest full specialist is 20 miles away.
Yeah.
You want to be on there. You want to be as close to them as you can, because that's where you're going to get your work from. And we started, and I recruited very well. I got what I call the A team, the best of the best. We had fantastic facilities, and the focus was always on people, both my staff, my team, who I couldn't do without, and the end user, the vehicle owner. Because one thing that we have to understand is that the vehicle owner is our golden nugget.
Mm.
And we have to respect that and treat every individual that they're special and that they're the only customer that are important to us. And we did very well. We did extremely well. Our labour rates at the time were near £100 an hour when everyone else was 45, 50 quid.
Wow.
It was, people were saying to me, "You're never going to succeed, Andy. I don't know what you're doing."
Is that still commonplace now in the industry? No.
Yeah, I mean, that's still commonplace in terms of, so the average labour rate now in the UK is about £65 an hour.
Right, okay.
That's low.
That's low, okay.
Right, and that's risen only because of the work that I've been doing. People making them realise what you're charging, Yeah. Some are a bit high, but the average is about 60 quid an hour, which is horrendous, really.
Mm.
So, and then two things happened. I had no inclination of selling this business. But then I had two organisations came knocking on my door. The first was BMW UK.
Yeah, wow.
So we'd already closed one of their dealers, and we were causing a little bit of a heartache for them. So think about this for a second, right? This is how messed up these people are. You've got the parts manager of this dealership who loves me to bits. Why does he love me to bits?
Because you're buying heaps of parts.
Yeah,
giving him heaps of money.
And then you've got the service manager who works for the same business who hates you.
Yeah,
because you're taking his money.
Taking all his money.
And then you've got the dealer principal on top who's sitting in a meeting with
both arguments.
That's hilarious.
Can you see how the conflicts? So in a dealership, that's what happens. They're all fighting against each other. Anyway, in the end, we had a national tyre company that wanted to buy us, and we had BMW UK. So when I looked at the figures, I thought, you know what? And by then, we'd put ourselves on the map. I joined a couple of organisations. I'd started writing some articles, business articles, in one of our trade magazines. I started appearing at the odd trade show, doing the odd chat and all that. And again, always just focusing on business and nothing else.
Yeah.
I went next door and I said to the owners of the car parts company, listen, I've had enough and I'm thinking of selling. Just wanted to let you know. And he turned around and said, you can't do that. I'd buy the business off you.
Okay.
So we sold the business to them. I've known the family for many years. So we sold the business to them in 2016. I never had an idea in terms of what I was going to do. Took a bit of time off. And then what happened, my phone started ringing and people reaching out to me, garage owners like us, seeking help and guidance. And I started, and I started these garage visits. So I'd go in and analyse the business, then come up with action plans and help them through those changes over a period of time. After about a year, I realised that what if I wrote some training material? What if I could get people around the class, And then that's the birth of the first course that I wrote, which was the financial understanding of the garage business. Then I started to develop the marketing course, but it's not marketing as you think it is.
Yeah.
Totally different. So we did the second one. And then I realized that a lot of us don't understand leadership and management, and we confuse the things. And we confuse the things because we are a very flat organization. We don't have many tiers of departments and managers. And sometimes we're everything,
That's right.
Unfortunately for us, some people need guidance and leadership in order to excel in their work. So I wrote one of those, training package for that. I added managing quality for that, added to that, which is all about the practices that I used and encourage people to do in their workshop as process to save time and create that efficiency. And then I added the fourth course, which was customer excellence and reception management, because one of the things I've also noticed is that there's a lot of people, fantastic people who work on the front desk, who are the first point of call and the last point of call.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, get put in these positions, but don't have the skill set to do that specific job.
Yeah.
I've put that together. So now what we do, we run them in two. So we do a 2-day course. It's finance and marketing together, effective leadership management quality with customer excellence and reception management. I'm halfway through.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and I'm halfway through writing another advanced financial course, which will be 1 day added with effective team leadership. So I'm hoping to have that finished by the end of the year and then be able to deliver that, but only to those people that have done the first finance. And that's what I do. Obviously I've got my brand ambassador roles, which I'm very humbled and proud to have. So that gives me a global, if I call it global, it just gives me the privilege to be acknowledged by global giants for what they do. We help them connect to the independent sector. And then obviously I've got an association with a few other people that if an organization or a product can add value to an independent garage, I'd like to be associated with it and allow them to connect with my network, you know? And that's what the Garage Inspector does. So I'm passionate about what I do. I love what I do. I'm in a very privileged position, like I said to you earlier. Even yesterday, my Icelandic friends have reached out to me again to go back there to do another load of training, you know, so, and also in their branches in Norway. So you know, and hopefully one day we can come over to you. I
was going to say, when's the trip to AU?
I've got my trusty diary out. Yeah.
The weather's fantastic. You know?
Maybe give it a few weeks. It's the rain.
You know what you need? You need one of those wigs to come over from you can steal one from Darren's on from the DPF doctor.
Yeah, I know. He's you know, so they're the kind of people we associate ourselves with, you know. Yeah. These are people who are passionate about helping the independent sector with their own products or service that they deliver. Yeah.
Well, it's capability uplift. It's capability uplift, isn't it, for everyone? You know, and that's what. You know, what's the saying? A rising tide floats all boats. You know, so I think if we work together, we can. You know,
we've got a really strong community now. The independent sector, I've never known our sector to have so much resource and help available to, you know, when we started 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we had nothing, Pete, of course, you know, we just, you worked and you couldn't turn to anyone, you just worked.
And it was almost secret. It was almost secret. Like I remember back then, like even when, because I'm second generation and my dad was a mechanic, it was was definitely very different. Like now, like Pete's, like we're all really pretty close to each other, but like even last couple of days ago, the mechanic down the road came over and we had a coffee. Like that stuff didn't really happen because it was all a big secret as to, you know, don't tell him this because he'll steal that idea. And I'm happy to say I think that's disappearing. I think that that's a thing of the past, and I really hope it stays that way.
I agree, because I think as a network, there's enough there for everyone. Absolutely. And for me, all I want to do is share my knowledge. It's no good me taking my knowledge and keeping it within me, because you can't make change in that way, right? And all I can say to you is that the feedback that I get and the response I get from people after they've done the training, or whether we've done a garage visit or a combination of the two, is incredible. And I think I always say that's the air that I breathe. That's what I need to keep going. So the moment that stops for me, I'll probably get demotivated and say, you know what, I've done my job. But the more I do and the more feedback I get, the positive feedback and the change that we're making. And you know what, in a lot of cases, a lot of the people that I've met, a lot of them are family-run businesses, husband and wife or son or daughters. And what they need, they sort of know the answers. They just need someone to clarify it for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just open that little door a little bit more, and just show them the first couple of steps.
Yeah.
And then when they've done that, they've got their quick wins, they're on a roll. You know?
It's sometimes it's about holding someone accountable as well. Someone, you almost feel like when you go to the gym, sometimes you go to the gym, you go through the motions, and then the minute you've got a personal trainer, you think, oh shit, I better do something. You know?
And you know what? I mean, I don't know if you've heard, but I don't mince my words when I visit these people. I mean, I do go off a bit of a rant. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's me because I'm passionate about them, about what I do. And sometimes you have to be like that because it's got to hurt a little bit. Like you said with a personal trainer analogy, it's got to hurt a little bit and you've got to go through that pain barrier in order for you to make the change. Yeah, I just help them make that change. And I love it. I love every minute of it.
So I've got a question for you then, Andy. Because we do through the Garage Network, we do work with a few businesses as well. And I wanted to ask you this question. So so if someone was to come and see you, what are the most common misconceptions or false beliefs about business coaching or your training, specifically in our space or industry? What are the most common misconceptions or false beliefs? So if I was to come to you, what do you hear often? What is the most fear? Yeah.
Fear. Okay. Yeah. Fear, because usually we're the same age in that area, and they're thinking, I'm going to invite someone in who's done what I've done. What's he going to tell me anything different to what I know?
Same age, so you get a lot of 23-year-olds, right? That's what you're saying. That'll be 50 quid, mate. That'll be 50 quid.
So I think it's fear is the first thing. You know, I've always worked like this. How am I going to change? Right. So one of the biggest stumbling blocks for me is to change that mindset. Right. So I'll use lots of little different techniques to get people on board. Yeah. Some work a bit quicker than others. And again, I have to very quickly ascertain what the owner's like, you know, and I'm talking about not in hours. I've got to make an assumption about the person who's invited me in. So fear is one. And then also the ability to accept that what I'm saying to you has a very, very good chance of working.
Yeah.
Let's try it together, because we've all got that instinct that we don't like change.
Yeah.
You know, the moment we sleep in someone else's bed or a hotel, you know, it's not the same, is it? Right. Yeah, so we know what it's like. So I have to get that. They're the first two things. So the first thing is the acceptance first of picking up the phone and asking for help.
Yeah.
We should never, ever be ashamed of asking for help.
Absolutely.
Never. Right. And the second is accept that you are going to make some changes and you are going to face some challenges, but look where you are now. You've done it for 35 years and you're still struggling. So why not just take a chance and try something different?
Absolutely.
You
know? Absolutely.
See, I was very lucky that I probably went to a business coach, and it was automotive based, very young. And I was very quickly realized I don't want to keep doing this, going around in circles and just making a wage. It's not what I want to do. And you're right, it's very hard to make the call that, okay, it's now, because I reckon I had the conversation myself for months, probably about a few months of like, I'm going to do it today, but then I had a good day, so it was okay. You know, then, not a good day, better call him today. The next day was good, so don't call him. But yeah, I think once I accepted that that's what had to be done, it was life-changing. Life-changing.
It is. And the thing is, sometimes when people come from the outside, they see things a lot clearer. Like when I go into a workshop now, I know what to look for.
Yeah.
I know what to look for.
It stands out, doesn't it?
It does. And I don't, like I said to you, I don't mince my words, but sometimes when you're in it, you're blinded to the obvious.
Yeah.
And 100%. Sometimes you just think, and because, you know, in most garages, it's 8 or 9 hours of firefighting and chaos. Yeah. Yeah. When your mind is muddled, right? When your mind is muddled, you don't see clear water.
Yeah.
You need a clear mind to see clear water.
Yeah. One of the
and that's all I try and bring.
Yeah,
love it,
mate. I love it too. I think one of the big misconceptions or false beliefs that I hear often as well is that it's different for me. It's different for me. We have a different set of challenges. It's different for us. You know what? Across all the businesses that we've seen, it seems to be a very common thread. So like you said, it's trying to sort of change that mindset to say, look, this is something that can be worked with.
80% of the things that I see are very common, and then you've got 20% of unique things. And what you've got to remember, I think, what people forget outside of our industry is how difficult it really is to run a garage.
Yeah.
Honestly, it is. I think it's one of the most challenging industries to be in.
Great.
And one of the reasons for that is because generally vehicle owners don't want to come see us.
No.
And
never a good day.
They're on the back foot straight away, aren't they?
Straight away. So
that mechanic's going to screw me over. That's the first thing they're thinking.
Exactly. And it's because we're already one up or two up against it before they've even walked through the door. So the anxiety that they have in the repair process, when we don't call them back when we should have, when the invoice is more than what we quoted, because when they haven't been explained why and what and when, so they leave and they feel ripped off. A lot of the problems and a lot of the bad feedback we get and the image of our industry, we've actually created.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Totally.
All right. So all these little things have a huge impact. So it's not like, we're going to go and have a beer and we're going to sit down and eat. We're going to go and buy some clothes, but we want to do it. So our industry is very tough. Add the technical advances, add the equipment and the training, which should be ongoing. Add the staff challenges that we've spoken about. I mean, when you think about that, what chance do we have? You think, wow, what else? But this is the life of garage owners. This is how, these are the challenges that we've been facing from day one. Yeah. They've just got a little bit bigger now. And it's a very, very, very challenging industry to be in. And I don't think anyone outside our circle really understand that effectively,
Yeah. So we recently did some battery training with our battery partner, and he was explaining pretty much what you just said, that no one wakes up in the morning and says, today I want to go and buy a battery. They get up and say, today I want to go spend $300-400 on some shoes. But no one wakes up and says, I want to go spend $300-400 on a battery this morning. So straight away you're on the back foot. So you've got to,
and that's why in one of the training sessions that we do, we focus so much on the customer journey.
Yeah.
Where it begins, where it ends, and how we can make sure these, what I call touch points, the crucial parts of the customer journey, how we can make them, how we can excel in those areas make the customer feel, do you know what? I've chosen the right garage here, and I'm not going to leave, But we're constantly battling. So we should, we should clap ourselves, applaud ourselves, the ones that have stayed in it, the ones that have been in it for a while, because we're a unique bunch and we do provide a fantastic value for money service in our communities, wherever you are globally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I think you're right. The touch points through the job are very important, aren't they? And they need to be there. And I think it needs to be known that you need to be transparent, honest, open. Like you said, the customer's on the back foot straight away. The first thing that they're thinking is, these guys are going to screw me over. Every mechanic's the same. They're all the same, and you've got to break that mold, And
we have to, and we're all tarnished with the same brush. And that stems from the bad experiences they have. Yeah. Not necessarily that a garage has stitched them up, if that's the right word to use. It's because they haven't understood the repair process.
Yeah.
And they haven't been explained the repair process.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we have to clarify that and spend extra time on those points to make them leave and feel that they haven't been ripped off. And that's where I focused on. That's where I thought we excelled far, far better than anyone else. And people say, how can you charge £100 an hour? And we're like, well, I don't have any magic sauce, mate, but it's like we focus on the bits. We were transparent with little techniques that we go through, that we do as part of our training to make sure that customers feel they perceive they got a value for money service. And at the end of the day, we're all consumers to other products and services.
Yeah, of course.
And we use a lot of these products and services without even thinking twice about it, because subconsciously we believe that they give us value for money.
Well,
and value for money doesn't have a price.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you're right. I think all that the consumer wants, I know that I want an outcome. You know, I'm happy to pay for a better outcome. If I'm getting, you know, stuffed around by the mechanic and he hasn't rung me back, or my car's been there for 3 days and there's no communication, I almost feel that I'd rather pay a little bit extra and get that higher level of communication and respect, you know?
And I say to people, cheap and expensive should be 2 words that are never used in business.
Never, yeah.
If you think it's expensive, you haven't had the service.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
Honestly,
yeah.
You'll never go into a restaurant and remember what everything cost you. You just remember the experience.
100%. I totally agree with that.
And that's how I used to say to my boys, when people come into this establishment, I want them to have an experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And trust me, they'll never remember every individual price of anything. They just think about the experience.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And it's expectations, and it's perceptions of what people think is value and quality. That's what we wait. And that's why our job is so difficult, because different people have different expectations.
Yeah.
And different people have different levels of value for money, wherever that sits.
So do you teach setting and managing customer expectations as well through the course of the job?
Yeah. And we do that. We do that in the customer excellence course, and we also cover aspects of that in the marketing course. Believe it or not.
Lovely.
The marketing is one of the comments that I get, Pete, when people come and do the marketing course. It is completely different to what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. They thought they were going to talk about Facebook or something. Run Facebook ads. Yes, that's fine.
Yeah, sponsored ads.
Completely different.
Yeah, mate. I think it's good. Like, I think as mechanics, we seem to forget that we're not really trained in this business aspect as well. Like, I mean, I'm like Costa, I'm a generational mechanic, so my father was a mechanic as well. And, you know, when I was coached for the first time as well, he said, no, you don't need a coach. You know what to do. Well, the fact of the matter is I fucking didn't, excuse my French, I didn't know what to do. You know, I could build a 600 horsepower engine and I could fix heaps of cars. I was really good at that. But running a business is a different animal altogether, you know. So I think the realization came when I worked out that I was chasing my tail a little bit more than what I needed to be. You know, and soon after the fact, we started to, you know, get some process and procedures happening, and you know, the rest is history. But I think it's important to understand that as technicians, we can't be everything to everyone, and there is help out there for us as well.
Yeah. And I think you need to understand your marketplace, whatever your marketplace is. Yeah. And I came from it. When we opened Brunswick, I came from it from a different angle. You know, I chose a specific market group. I didn't want to have every customer.
Yep.
And some of the analogies I use is I'd rather sell 50 Rolexes a year than 5,000 Casios.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely,
I like that one. That's a great one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm writing that down and I'm stealing that one. That's a good one. I like it.
You know, what's going to be easier?
Yeah.
Selling 50 Rolexes. So for me, I knew that I wasn't going to capture every vehicle around me, and I didn't want to either. I wanted a specific marketplace.
Yep.
And I wanted to be known as the best in that arena. It's like, again, another analogy that I use. You go to your GP, they're general practitioners.
Yep.
Yeah.
When they find something wrong with you, what do? They send you to a specialist.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. We've had this discussion before. Yeah.
So I used to say to my team, we're consultants in this building.
Yeah.
Forget about the GPs. They won't come near us. So, and that's what I wanted to be. But you get this segment of other garage owners that think they're a specialist. They think they're at that level. You go in there and I rip them apart in 10 minutes. You know, they've got a VACCOM and they think they're a VAG specialist. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So there's also a myth about that. I just think we did our jobs and all the little things. We understood the customer journey. I made sure everyone was aware. We also had a vision, boys. That a lot of people don't understand about the business owner, whoever he or she may be, of having a vision that they can communicate to their team. So I say to people, would you get on a bus if you didn't know where the bus was going to end up? You wouldn't. You wouldn't. So
That's right.
how can people get on the bus with you if they don't know where the end journey is going to be?
Yeah.
So make it clear to them where you want to be. Where is your vision? Where is your passion? What do you want to be? What do you want to achieve? And I think when you communicate that as a leader, you'll get a buy-in. Yes, you're going to come against roadworks. And yes, you're going to have to go around the roadworks. And yes, you're going to have to stop here or the bus breaks down. But that's business. That's life. And that's business. It's how you get a togetherness that you all share the same philosophy and values that will see you through.
Let me ask you this then, Andy. Are there born leaders or can you train a leader?
There are no born leaders for me. I think
we can be trained.
I think your life, your teenage years, your mid years, and what you go through ultimately is your DNA as to whether you can lead or not.
Yep.
All right. Now, that doesn't make the people who can't lead bad people. But in life, everyone needs to look up to someone.
Yep.
In business, for me, it's essential. Right? So unless you can manage those expectations, you'll never get everyone working for you 100%. I used to say to my team, I used to feel to myself two things. Would they come to war with me? Would they cross that line? So I read a lot of military books, right? And have done. Think about military. They don't have time for necessities out in the warfield. They can't look up the internet. They can't read a book of management.
Yeah.
I command a fleet of 30 soldiers. I've got to tell them to cross that line to go to war against 300 soldiers. They have to trust me as a leader that I've made the right choice.
Yeah.
And that's how I see my business. Do the team that I have understand my vision, what I want to achieve, and will they join me on that journey?
Yeah.
Knowing that we're going to have troubles along the way.
Love it.
And that's key for me. That's key when it comes to leadership. But you're not born, I don't believe you're born a leader. I think it happens organically and naturally dependent on your life previously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the great leaders all around the world, whether we talk about sporting, political, whatever you say, if you analyze them, people always are first.
Yeah. I like that. Putting people. I definitely think. I think that's been a bit of the ethos. I know definitely with Costa and his business, he's making sure that he's putting people first, and I'm very much the same. And I actually think that's a very important trait to hold.
So this is I think why we connected so well from your stuff, like everything you were saying. I was like, it just makes so much sense, and he can say it so well. It's like, wish I could. I think I've said Pete in the past, like your videos, like bloody hell. He just
wish I could articulate it like that.
That.
You learn as you go along, Gossamer. You learn, you adapt, and you learn. But for me, it's become a very, very, very natural part of my role. I've got to stand in a classroom of 18, 20 delegates, 5-6 hours, and I've got to keep them motivated, engaged. The material's got to be right, and every class is different because there's different people in there, and also they need to have the time and the voice to express their opinions. We don't always have to agree on subjects. The good thing is that you get different perspectives, and then hopefully they become friends and associates. They join the group, and it's about articulating your responses in a way that make it understandable for people. And that's what I like doing. I like being on stage talking. I like whether it's like this or whether it's in my training, or whether it's when I'm visiting garages and getting the team round, when I feel that there's a them and this culture, and I've got to bring both sides together. And these are the challenges. These are the skill sets that I think allow me to do what I do so effectively,
Yep. So do you prefer...
Because I've worked in it, and I've ridden, I've been on the train. I've done exactly what everyone else is doing.
So do you prefer your site visits over your training courses?
I like both.
You like both?
I like both. Yeah, I couldn't. I get asked that quite often. I couldn't pick between the two.
Okay.
The garage visits allow me to go back to my arena.
That's what I thought.
Exactly.
So, you know what?
So I walk in, I see the mess and this disorganisation and everything else. That's my arena.
The chaos.
Mate, I've seen it, mate. I think we've all lived it. I think we've all lived it. That's one of the really important thing is. For the guys that you're dealing with, understand that you've lived that as well. The mess that you've got in your shop, I've had it, and I've had it tenfold.
I've done all the roles. Yeah. So I like that, but I also like the environment of in a training room, delivering the training that I've written over a period of time.
Yep. So
I've actually got a little question as well, because when we met Darren and also Steve Scott, they were down in Australia not too long ago, and we caught up, had a few drinks. I'm not going to lie, in my head I was like, it'll be interesting because they must do things differently and they've got different hurdles. And it's exactly the same, right? Exactly. I felt we've had all the exact same hurdles. So I think that obviously you speak to probably far more workshops and go into the coalface quite often. So what would you say some of the biggest hurdles you're seeing in most of these workshops when you walk into, if you had to pick something?
I think the biggest lack of understanding or hurdles that I find is the understanding of the commodity that we sell, which is time.
Yeah. Okay.
And people don't spend enough time on that element.
Okay.
So I'll give you a statistic, right? The average efficiency of a workshop in the UK, and I've been to hundreds.
Oh, do I need to hear?
I'm
interested.
I've got a financial spreadsheet, a master Excel sheet.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm getting financial data, it goes in, whether you're a 1 bay or 20 bay workshop. So the average efficiency of a workshop is 55%.
Fuck, yeah, wow. Shit.
So, and that's if it's measured correctly.
Yeah.
Because there are garage systems out there that don't even measure that correctly. Now,
so just to put into perspective, we're saying, so this is for anyone listening that doesn't sort of understand, you're saying if there's 100 hours of labor that we could potentially be billing, we're only billing potentially 50 hours. 55.
Yeah, so the analogy that I use, you buy 100 apples every week.
45, yeah.
And you only sell 55 apples. So there's two things that happen there. The first thing, the cost of those apples go up.
They must, yeah.
They must do. And secondly, you'll never recover the time that you've lost.
Yeah.
So the biggest challenge for me is to get garage owners to think differently in terms of the commodity that we have. Now, there's an argument that we also sell parts. Now, I have a very controversial rule about that because when I used to run my garage businesses, we used to earn a relatively good margin, not markup, because they're two different things.
Yeah.
And that's another big confusion, right? So my margin was always based around 40%. So whatever I bought in the year, I wanted to try and earn a 40% margin. Now, I never got to there. I got to 38%, right? Which is fine. So some parts you would earn less. If you're getting from dealers, you're not getting much more than 10, 15%. And that's even dropped now. And if you're getting your parts from a wholesaler, you should be able to earn more. But overall, I'll try and earn for about 40% margin across the board.
Mm.
The problem we have now is that in the last 3, 4, 5 years, is that we don't control parts anymore as we used to. Because there's third-party aggregators that have come in. These marketing companies like Booking.com or whatever else. I'm sure you've got them in.
We've got them,
which control that element of it. So that makes it even more crucial for us to focus on the only thing that we actually control, which is labor. And remember that if we don't sell any labor, it's very rare that you're going to sell a part.
That's true.
So the part is the byproduct of our labor. our labour. So getting the biggest challenge for me is trying to get that 55% up to 65, 70, 75, whatever it is. I can safely say to you now that the garages that we've worked in, that's been risen. Of course that rises. What you've also got to understand in business is that when you reach a certain threshold where you've met all your costs, every pound that you sell, every minute you sell after that hits the bottom line. All right? And 99% of garages that I've interacted with, the only reason they stay in business is because of their parts profit. They don't make any money off their labor. And when we do the calculation, they look at it and they think, oh my God, now I understand.
Is it through
the biggest challenge?
Is it through lack of process and system typically, or
systems, process, services that are offered, and where the labour rate begins? Because it's just plucked out.
It's plucked out. Yeah.
Because John down the road had it for that much.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where it starts from, and that's the biggest challenge that I face. I say to people, when you leave this room tomorrow, when I leave the garage, put your labour rate up to £15. You won't lose anyone. And they're scared. They do it, and a week or two later, they're ringing up and saying, Andy, you know what? We haven't lost anyone.
No one noticed.
Because no one really asks us what you charge per hour. It's what you charge for the job, and it's
That's
price and how you put that job together. Yes.
Yeah, correct.
That's the key.
Agreed.
How you can communicate that over.
Totally agree.
And I can manipulate labour time. I could go from, someone charging £50 and charging an hour, 50 quid, or someone charging 60 quid and going 0.8. Same shit, isn't it?
Same thing. It's exactly the same.
I can manipulate it anyway. I think the skill, how you put that job together.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Look, it's I'm only going to charge you, $25 an hour, but it's going to be 5 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Also, it's now people are buying their own parts. The internet has created this thing. I can't walk into any restaurant, take my goods, and then ask someone to cook it for me. It doesn't work. These problems that we've created in the UK specifically, we've created them. We moan about it, but we're the ones we've allowed people to come in and dictate to me. I've got customers dictating to me how I run my business. No, my friend. No, my friend. It doesn't work in any other sector apart from our sector.
Yeah.
So what I try to get people to realise is that stand up, broad shoulders, get your chest out, be professional. No, sir, no, madam, because of.
Yes, absolutely. So look, what you're saying now about how obviously the parts things going on in the UK. I remember when Jeff, again, one of the other director of the Garage Network, he's actually from the UK, from Blackpool, so I better mention it, otherwise he'll get upset.
Yeah, he'll get very upset.
Yeah, we've got to make sure that we tell him about the Blackpool Tower, otherwise again he'll get upset.
And he looks like
oh, don't say it.
Carl Pilkington. He looks almost almost identical.
Yeah,
we should put a picture up.
Oh, yeah, we'll get one up. But I remember very early on when we met. This was before sort of the online parts was a thing, and we never had customers trying to bring their own parts. It wasn't a thing yet. He was like, "You guys got to make sure that never happens. You guys have to make sure you all stay staunch. You guys, professional but staunch. Of no, we can't do that. For these reasons." Explain yourself if you have to, that's fine, but you got to make sure that you don't let that be a thing. And I don't know how you guys actually deal with it in the UK. From what Jeff was saying, it was quite a common thing where guys would come in with their own parts, but I think the guys in Australia are doing pretty good at avoiding it, to be honest. Like when we ask the question on a network, it seems as though a lot of the guys are a bit united in that sense where, if we're going to fit it, we have to provide it sort of situation.
But there still are a few guys out there that
there's always going to be
that sort of absolutely. But
and the way we see it, like we'll say that's okay because they cater to a certain client, which is also fine. Because do we really want that client anyways? No, they can have them. It's okay.
No, you'll never get loyalty from them people. That's right. At the end of the day, I can't buy my food produce, like I said, and go into any restaurant and ask cook it for me. No,
warm this up for me. Yeah.
I bought this steak. Can you cook me this steak medium, please?
So there are garages that will always continue to do that. That's the industry we're in, but we have created it.
Yeah.
Even though the parts companies want to sell to the consumer, that's fine if that's their tactic. But we can stop it overnight if we don't fit it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Now, I'm not saying we can't have associations with our parts factors if they've got the ability and the resource to create footfall for us in a way, but it has to benefit both.
Yeah.
Right.
Great.
And the way I've tried to explain to the people that I work with over here is that we should get a rebate on product based. If you're selling brakes to a consumer, then directing them into my garage, and I know that I'm going to get a margin on those brake pads or discs, yes, at the end of the month, then I could possibly accept it.
Yeah,
that's a medium for me because you're getting top retail money, right? Rather than selling to me, but I want a piece of that pie because parts profit is an integral part of our profit.
Yeah,
we won't be able to survive just on labour.
It's a cream on top, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if that's taken away from us, it's going to make our jobs even harder. And you know what? The parts companies won't have anyone to deliver to.
Yeah.
Because we are their core customer.
That's right.
They should be looking after us first.
Absolutely.
I can understand why they're doing it, but I'm just saying, can we re-engineer it to benefit everyone?
Both parties. Yeah. There was another argument that came up on the garage network as well, or another discussion, which was liability as well, and where you sit with liability too.
That's common. So, we will be liable. You know, how can you fit? How can someone come in, give you a part, you fit it, when it goes wrong, who's going to be liable for it? Of course, it's going to be you. They're going to be coming in shouting at you, and also it's going to be stuck on the lift. What if it's the wrong part? What if it doesn't fit properly?
Yeah, it does happen too.
What if it doesn't fit properly? You've got all these challenges. So you know what? It's hard enough already. Let's eliminate those.
Absolutely. I agree.
That's right.
I agree.
I think you're right. The more we can control, the more you can cater for. Exactly. So
I can't allow anyone to come into my business and dictate to me.
That's right.
Yeah.
And how I do. I can't go into any Apple store, any restaurant and dictate to them.
You know what? You're so right. You know what? Because I've only just taken over another workshop very recently, months ago, and I almost sometimes think to myself, the audacity of some of these people. My customers are amazing. My existing customers that I have, I reckon I've got, like most of us, I think I've got the best customers, right? The ones that are existing, they're amazing, right? But I get the new ones that I've taken over the shop now, and I think to myself, the audacity of some of these people, like, how dare you? How dare you? I would never come into your shop and demand these sort of things. How ridiculous, you know?
But be professional.
That's all you can do.
No, thank you. And then
no, thank you.
And then you keep. And remember that out of your database, about 38 to 48% of your database is 60% of your turnover.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You will have a core of people that you can throw bad eggs at them.
Yeah.
And you can swear at them, they'll still come back to you. Because you've built that loyalty
relationship.
Yeah. And a lot of the times, these people, you don't even have to sell to them. They just tell you to get on with it.
Yeah.
So we have one of our rules is everything gets quoted, right? So if it's something outside of scope of what they've signed up for, they get a phone call. And you guys probably know, you call like, why are you calling me?
Yeah, don't ring me.
Damn
why are you ringing me? Why are you ringing me?
That's okay. Look, the car will be fixed. Email's been sent. Photos are out there. They're there. Just letting you know. Yes or no. It's like, all right. Just
And this is one of the analogies we use in our training. Is when you've got loyal existing customers, easy to sell, they trust you, but we mustn't take our foot off the pedal. We must always go through the process. Because that shows trust and it keeps that trust retained. And I believe one thing, boys, right? I believe in business, you start with 100% trust. You don't gain it from the bottom.
Yeah,
and if you take that,
you start losing it.
And then you start losing it. You keep that.
Yeah. No, you're right.
As soon as someone walks in and they've been recommended, you start with 100%.
Yeah.
The key is to maintain it. if you have a different mentality where you say to yourself, well, I'm going to earn the trust. No. You're already on a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Start with the wrong way. Start with 100% trust and you maintain it.
I like that.
And that for me is a bigger challenge.
I like that.
And that will keep you focused.
Yeah, absolutely. Mate, I think so, like, it's pretty clear that most of the challenges that we face here in AU are the same worldwide, I'm going to say. You know, and it's good to sort of hear it from someone else as well, you know.
And you're in London. Like you're in London, right?
Yeah. London, I'm in North London. But like I said, there's, you know, in Iceland, I was very nervous to go when I went to Iceland, but it was unbelievable. Yeah. Everything that I discuss over there is suffering the same things. Yeah. Same with the Cyprus mob, you know, that we've done a few bits for them. Exactly. There's very, very small differences. The only place where I say to you the climate is slightly different is Germany. Yeah. Okay. Because they have a different way of running independent workshops. You have to have a 3-year government business diploma based around that business for you to be able to own or run that garage.
Wow.
So
very Germanic, isn't it?
Yeah. So you cannot run or own an independent garage in Germany unless you've undertaken this 3-year program.
Wow.
So yeah. So
I don't mind that.
That's a good idea.
I don't
mind that at all.
We're 20 years behind.
Yeah.
So what that does, it elevates that independent garage. So they're on the same level as accountants and solicitors. They're seen as professional because they have to go through this. Yeah.
Wow. I like it.
So it's very, very different. When I went over there, I spent a week. I did it with ZF. And I've got a very good associate called Marcus Schmidt who runs the sort of European after sort of sales network. Good friend of mine in Germany, really good guy. And when he took me to these garages, he was explaining to me about what they have to do to own or run a garage. Amazing. And they also have a thing where any safety related work that gets done has to be signed off by the person who's got the certificate.
Wow.
So it might be me, but I've given you the job to do. Yeah.
Yeah, light blue's on you, mate.
Register, and I have to sign it off.
I like that actually. Well, that you know
that's
what?
Quality control. Jeez.
That's quality control. Yeah. Well, I mean,
so I can't give anyone any job to do.
That's right.
Because I'm liable, not the person who's done it. Me.
Yeah. So you look at your team. You look at your team very tightly, don't you?
So,
no, that's interesting.
It
rules out a lot of the cowboys, doesn't it? You know.
It does. It does, and that's what we need over here. We need legislation that's got meat on the bone. But unfortunately, we've got about 60 different organisations in the UK, multi-trade organisations, all self-centred.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. All self-centred, all self-regulated.
Yeah.
And all tickets.
Yeah.
All tickets. Yeah. You've got a light switch and a door. Oh, you can join our association.
Yeah.
We don't have any of those.
No, not at all. Ours are quite professional. Yeah.
You know, you've got a door. You've got a ramp. That's fine. You've got a ramp. You can join the association. Let's put our signage outside for you, and we'll generate customers.
Yeah, just
and
pay
no one has a clue. No one has a clue who these people are.
Just pay your fee, and you get this sign. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And yet, no consumer knows what it means.
No idea.
No idea what that means.
No idea.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's important to understand that we're pitching to the consumer as well, aren't we? You know, like sometimes taking photos of leaking water pumps and stuff like that. The consumer doesn't care. They don't know what you're talking about. So so maybe use a different tack.
So we definitely share many similarities.
Yeah.
Definitely share. And the one thing I've realised with a lot of garagemen, they're passionate people. They care about their business.
Yes.
Yeah.
They've lost a little bit of direction. I've never had that direction.
Yeah.
I'm a mechanic. Oh, I can do it better. I go and open up. All of a sudden, I'm running a business and I've got people.
Yeah. And you're hiring staff with no idea what you're doing. Yeah.
No idea. And
been there.
All the garage inspector wants to do is be there and support these people.
Yeah,
I love it.
Around business.
Help make the change. There's a lady called Janine Alice, and she owns Boost Juice, which is quite a large franchise. And she says, you know, some of the most hurtful words are, "We've always done it this way."
Yeah.
Oh,
You know?
I hate that.
So, you know, you hear that a lot, but we've always done it this way. Well, it doesn't mean it's the right fucking way.
And again,
you know,
that goes back to what I said to you at the beginning. What's the biggest fear? The biggest challenge for me is to get people's mindset to change.
Yeah.
That's the challenge.
And you know what, as well, I've noticed a lot of people, like, obviously from what you're doing as well, like, they actually don't even have the support, you know, as well in the back end, in the background, I should say, which, like, I always say I was very fortunate because, like, my dad being a mechanic as well. Like, I actually left dad and started my business at 19, and I remember crapping myself because I bought my premises and had no money and all that. And dad was like, "You're 19. What are you scared of? I've got your back. Worst case, you come back, you stay, you got a bed in my place. It's all good, you know." And having that support made a big difference. And I think, you know,
a lot of people don't have that.
You know, and don't have that in their older age as well. You know, I was lucky enough to have it at a young age, and you know, guys like yourself, you know, guys like we try to do a bit as well with the garage. We're supporting guys that may not have that. I think it is very important. It's an important little thing to have.
And this is why I think what's been created now.
Yeah.
You know, with your garage network over there, there's another one in Iceland that I've met. They're probably all over the place.
Love it.
You know, the ones that we've got in England. You know, and this is something that we should be proud of as a community, that we've come together to share and allow ourselves to help each other in a way that we've never been able to help each other 10 years ago. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think strength in numbers, and that's for sure, I think.
Yeah.
Now, more importantly, I saw that you were in Cyprus. What were you doing in Cyprus, mate?
So
whereabouts in Cyprus were you?
I was in. I've been twice so far. The first time was March when I went on a golfing sort of society. I'm part of a Cypriot Golf Society over here, and our annual holiday this year was in Cyprus. So we went there, and then I was back literally a month after that because I had a family wedding. My first cousin's daughter was getting married in Cyprus, so we went for a week over there. And it was nice. We hadn't been for 4 or 5 years, but I had a chance to go and see a couple of my garage customers.
Lovely,
which was nice. So we're just trying to plan for me to go back and deliver some training. So I've partnered up with probably the largest parts company in Cyprus. We've built up a really nice connection here, and we're trying to organise for them to lay on some training. So we'll go and deliver the first two days, and then probably, you know, sort another date 6-7 weeks after and go and deliver the other 2, or we might even do it all in one bash. We're not sure yet.
Maybe we should do a trip to Cyprus.
Yeah, so Pete, we should really go and support Andy for his training.
You know, I had a pretty funny experience in Cyprus when I went. I borrowed a car from my cousin, and I jumped in, and the master cylinder was shot, and my foot just went straight to the floor. And he said to us, "Mate, there's something wrong with your car." Because there's nothing wrong with the car. Like, just pump the pedal. It's fine. Just pump
that's Cyprus for you, isn't it?
And he called it. He goes, "Pump the stopper." And I said, "The stopper? What?" Like, it confused me. I was completely confused. The brake master cylinder stopper. And I'm like, what?
Unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah. When was the last time you went to Cyprus then?
Mate, 2009.
I was the last time. I was only about 3 years ago. Mine was literally when COVID, just before COVID, the summer before COVID started. The plan was to.
You've still got family. You both got family over there.
Yeah, I've got my dad's side. Well, mum's side is here.
Yeah.
That's where my dad. That's where my dad's from as well.
Smallest village ever. Like, it's
Where from?
Athieno.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's sort of like border on the Turkey border. But it was interesting actually when I went there, and I was sort of trying to keep an eye out for some shops and what they were like, and how they sort of ran their their workshops. I didn't really see any.
I went spotty, mate. I took
I
photos.
tell you what, there's
videos.
a core of garages over there now that their standards are up there.
That's good.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, they're not all obviously everywhere, but I've met some really, really, really good guys out there, man.
Yeah. So we've sort of coined the phrase, and we have a few here, the sort of more top tier workshops. We sort of coined the phrase we're dealer alternative sort of shops, and there's probably a lot more than what we think there are, or the capability uplift now is really high. So everyone's sort of starting to, through these networks as well, everyone's starting to sort of bind together and start to sort of go, okay, well, you know what, I can present a little bit different in my shop, or it is okay to do that, or...
You know what, it starts with one, mate. Like I remember the first time I walked into, again, one of the directors, Mike's workshop, and I was like, shit, I'm doing this really wrong. He's got like, it's purpose built, underground, like when you drive in, all the voice like sunken in. It's like, where's the work happen? Everything's like, where's the work happen? But they've got a lift, so you take whatever you can off the car, goes onto a lift, which goes underground. Everything gets separated down on the ground, comes back up, fitted to the car like an assembly line, right? Very well designed. And I was like, I've got to really look at what I'm doing in my workshop, because everything was like working as clockwork,
Yeah. But then you got the support.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what will create you more time to sell more hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and there's no shortcuts. Like everyone's still doing the same thing. Just things are much quicker.
Yeah. You think about this. A Nissan Qashqai with 16,000 moving parts gets built in under 7.5 hours.
Insane.
We get a car in for a whole day and we can't get it repaired. Service.
You got to take the manifold off the spark plugs.
It's coming.
This is Jeff's saying. So Jeff, one of the other directors, he's saying is, don't be a busy dickhead. That's the saying. You're just running around. Less is more. Running around like a headless chicken.
Mate, I remember the less is more mentality. So I remember one of the first few weeks of getting some business coaching, and like my dad was I'm not going to say involved, but was there and we had a little garden at the workshop. He'd come and play in the garden, and he'd come in like, where are the cars? Because we were always like just jam packed with cars. I'm like, no, we've only got 5 cars booked in today. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, just bear with me. I'm trying something, right? He was like, I'm going to look, whoever comes in, I'm going to tell them to drive it. I'm like, no, you're not. If you're going to do that, you must leave. I'll see you later on. That's the pro. If you are going to, during this time, I've already spoken to the guys. They're on board. If you're not going to be on board, there's a pub across the road. Here's my credit card to go to the pub, right? That's what's booked in. That's what gets done. Everyone else gets rebooked. And that's the process we're going to start working on and we're just trying to work through. We still didn't know exactly what we're doing yet, but I knew that less is more was sort of what we're trying to aim for.
Or at the very least, you had the idea that, you know what, I need to try something new. So you had that realization. I
knew there and then I had to get more customer centric and make sure every customer got all my attention.
Yeah.
And also that's a tactic that I use quite often, where I go to a garage and I'll say, how many cars you booking? Oh, we're booking 15 cars a day. Okay. How many leave? 8. Okay. How many come the next day? 15.
Yeah.
The 8 or 7 that were. By Thursday, you're pulling your hair out.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'll say to them, from now on, the following week, book 7 or 8 cars. I'm going to run out. No, trust me, you won't. Yeah. When you get the upsell, you're able to do it properly. You won't be rushing and you'll sell more hours. Please, I'm going to go. No, you won't. Trust me. And in the majority of cases, it always works. Because everyone, you take the pressure off. No one's running around. Don't miss things. You're always getting back to customers. So one of the things that I learned is less is more.
Yeah.
Well, comebacks cost the business so much, don't they?
Of course they do. And also, in so many ways, Pete. In so many ways, So many ways.
Yeah, that's right. So many ways. It's exactly right. It's not just the money going out. It's also the rotation. It's the whole lot.
No, so many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good, mate. Lots of similarities. I'm quite Well, I wouldn't say I'm quite surprised, but it's good to sort of hear it. So anyone that's watching the podcast, that if they're sort of thinking that they're alone, the whole world's facing the same.
Struggles. You know what? I'm really pleased that we've done this. Because I think it was in the offering for a long time, and I think we've done it now, and we've got a connection now. And I want you to always know that the Garage Inspector is always here for you and your network. And if there's anything I can do for you, any other, short webinars or things that you want specific, or anyone wants to ask anything business related, you think I can help, just email me, text me, message me, call me, whatever you want to do. I'll always try and help and assist and give you my opinion, even though we're, thousands of miles away.
Vice versa, mate. Appreciate it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Awesome. I do have to say hello from Mike, because I told him that we're actually changing to you today, and he had a bit of a fanboy moment and got all giddly and like.
He did actually. He was like, "Oh, Andy, Savva, Andy, we're going to get
Tell him I said hi. I'm like, okay, relax. We have to try and be relaxed.
All right, Mike. No, but that's good. No, well, I mean, look, it was great sort of having you on the podcast. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed hearing your perspective on a few different things as well. And just nice to sort of hear a fresh outtake and how passionate you are about what you do and the industry that we're in.
And me and Pete now have to go and book some tickets to Cyprus to just make sure
we're
going to make sure we're keeping you in check. Yeah,
we're going to do some training.
Yeah, we have to keep you in check.
Maybe I should book a flight and come over there to you lot.
Maybe you should.
You tell us when, mate, and we'll definitely make sure that you get picked up from the airport.
It'd be a nice trip to do.
Yeah,
you can come to one of the.
It's a long flight, but it's a beautiful country, mate. I'm sure you'll have more than enough.
I might not come back.
You maybe not.
You know what? We're known for that as well. We're known for keeping people here. So
maybe a Garage Network networking event might be in order.
100%.
Maybe we can arrange it enough. Maybe we come and deliver a couple of days or two, whatever you. I think it'll be something really good to look forward to. Maybe next year. Get 25, 30 people around the classroom in a hotel somewhere, deliver the training, meet some new people, face to face. I'm up for it, man. I've done it now in 2 or 3 other places. It's made me realize that we all share very, very common things. And the more we speak about it and engage, the better place the automotive sector, especially the independent sector, will be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Andy, thank you very much for being on, and we'll certainly catch up soon.
I'm sure we'll be
keep well. Thank you, boys. God bless. Stay strong.
Thank you. Take care.
See you later.
Thank you, mate.
Bye.
Don't forget to join our private Facebook page if you are an automotive technician, and also subscribe to our YouTube and our podcast channel. They are all called The Garage Network. Thanks, guys, and see you next time.